Hello, everyone. I'm Holly Thorne, the Community Relations Coordinator for the Stormwater Quality Division here at the City of Oklahoma City. I'd like to officially welcome everyone to the February session of our 2025 webinar series. Before we begin hearing from our presenter, I'd like to provide some information to help enhance everyone's experience during today's webinar. To reduce background noise, we ask that everyone keep themselves muted during the presentation. If anyone has any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them into chat. We will be monitoring the chat for questions, and we will have our speaker answer as many as possible. If anyone would like to receive a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, please send us a request via email. We will place my email address into the chat, so you'll have it handy. Each of our recorded webinars will be available on our website as well as OKC's YouTube channel. We'll post a link to the webpage where you can find those recordings toward the end of today's session. If anyone has any questions at this time, please feel free to type them into chat. Up next is a presentation for today's session. Today, we are pleased to welcome Jordan Peebles, the Watershed Planning and Outreach Supervisor with OKC's Stormwater Quality Division. Jordan currently serves as the Watershed Planning and Outreach Supervisor for the City of OKC's Stormwater Quality Management Division. She oversees a team that implements a robust, multifaceted public outreach program, which includes coordinating a popular rain barrel sale program that is now entering its 12th consecutive year. Jordan is also in her 4th year serving as the Vice Chair for the Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance, a local 501c3 nonprofit focused on reducing the impact of contaminated stormwater through stewardship activities, projects, and programs. Again, if anyone has any questions during today's presentation, be sure to type them into chat. Jordan will be available at the end of the presentation to answer any questions. Jordan, I'll hand the reins over to you. You may share your screen and begin your presentation.
Excellent, thank you. Let me get this shared. Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? Okay, there we go. All right, well, thanks, Holly. Hello, everyone. I'm always happy to talk about this topic. And it's really timely because we're approaching our spring season here in Oklahoma, and OKC is also currently promoting our annual rain barrel sale. So today I'm going to be sharing aspects of rainwater harvesting, and we'll talk about the installation and maintenance of the barrels as well. And this will allow you to enjoy free water all year round and be able to water your landscape even during drought conditions. I do want to preface the presentation by saying, do not be intimidated by installing and maintaining a rain barrel. It's a really easy process, and we're going to talk about all the components today. Now, rainwater harvesting at its basic definition is just simply the practice of collecting and then storing that rainwater to reuse it. Now, the primary benefit really is that, the water is totally free, right? Other benefits, you can also help reduce the local flooding around your property. You can also reduce erosion around your home. You'll improve local water quality. And what really impacts people, right, is you're going to be reducing your utility bills because your dependence on the treated water that you're paying for, through your provider, you're going to be able to reduce the amount that you're using to do your outdoor irrigation. Now, I do want to say, please note, that all this collected rainwater, it's not potable, right? This is water that's collected from your roof. And if your roof is like mine, it sees all kinds of activity like squirrels running around, birds landing, doing their business. You're going to have leaf litter. So although the water is fantastic for irrigation, it's not suitable for drinking unless it's already been treated. Now, other uses for this, free water that you're collecting, the first goal that we're talking about is irrigating your lawn and gardens, but you can also use it for things like washing your car. If you're a gardener like me, I'm constantly using it to, rinse my boots, my garden tools, my gloves, anything I'm using in the dirt. And then if you are a composter also, um, you're with composting, you're balancing your compost between that, that when it's dry versus too much moisture. So this can be a source of water to also help you manage your compost's moisture. Now, for this purpose of this presentation, we're going to be talking mainly about the 55-gallon rain barrel. This is the type of barrel that OKC promotes during our annual sale. But I also wanted to share with you guys other types of containers just to show you what options are available when and if you would like to upgrade to something that has more storage capacity. But the 55-gallon rain barrel, it's a really fantastic introductory or gateway product into, harvesting rainwater and water conservation and other types of sustainable landscape practices. So a second option is going to be an IBC tote. So these are intermediate bulk containers around 275 gallons. Now these totes themselves, they're usually a clear material, and you'll see in the center image, these have actually been wrapped in a black tarp. So that helps prevent, uh, higher temperatures, algae growth. So these can be a really fantastic kind of intermediate type option if you want to expand. On the picture on the right, these are large cisterns. So these are together, it provides 2,200 gallons of storage. Um, Most these types of cisterns, they're not usually found in residential settings. They're mostly going to be found in like commercial, institutional, or government properties, just really due to their size, their cost, and their maintenance needs. These usually have some working parts. Now these particular cisterns, they're found in Edmond, Oklahoma at the Bickham-Rudkin Park. And they were put in as part of a project with Master Gardeners and OSU, and it's used to irrigate the xeriscape garden up there. If you haven't seen these in person, it's definitely worth a visit. Now I mentioned we're going to be focusing on the 55-gallon rain barrel. So I wanted to go over all the features that you can expect, and these will be pretty consistent throughout different types of rain barrel manufacturers, not all, but most of them are going to have these types of features. So first off, we're going to start with the lid. Now this is obviously where the rainwater that you're collecting is going to enter the barrel. For the barrels that our vendor provides, the lid will screw right off. So it makes it really easy to remove it and complete any maintenance to the interior of your rain barrel. The lid is also where the holes are. So they have drilled 3 holes in the top to allow the water to drain from your downspout into your rain barrel. This lid also includes an interior screen. So this is usually something that's really important to people, mainly due to mosquitoes, but the screen will also help keep out any leaf litter or debris that's been caught in your gutter system, and that'll prevent it from getting into your rain barrel. Now the screen, can be damaged from time to time. If that happens, it's not connected to the lid, so you can easily take it out, run to your local hardware store, get some new screen, cut it to size, using the previous one as a guide, and just replace it. So that's a really easy fix. The second feature I want to talk about is the overflow fitting. This is usually going to be found at the top of your barrel as shown in the picture. This can fit a typical garden hose, and you can direct that hose anywhere on your property or off your property, and that will handle as the rain barrel is filling during a rainstorm to prevent it from discharging out the top of your barrel and then landing right at your home's foundation. This will allow you to direct that flow away from your home and to help protect your water, to help protect your home's foundation. It also helps keep the water level below the screen to help prevent mosquitoes from being able to lay their eggs. So that's another fantastic benefit of having this type of fixture. If you plan to use it, which we definitely recommend, just make sure that as you're orienting your barrel before it starts to fill, that you have that oriented away from your home so that way you can make use of it. Another feature is the linking hose. So we showed, a few slides ago about the different types of options and, how much you could potentially store. So if you start off with one barrel and you realize, I'm collecting a lot more barrel than my single one can handle, I want to expand my storage capacity. This fixture will allow you to link another barrel and get double the capacity. Our vendor provides a short linking hose accessory that you can order as well that will fit this purpose perfectly. Another aspect of this particular fitting is that being as it's located at the bottom of your barrel, this is one of the fixtures that you're going to keep open in the winter, fall to winter, early spring, as we're experiencing those freeze events, and that will allow the water to discharge from your barrel and help prevent damage during a freeze event. Another feature is our ball valve. So this is the one that everybody is really familiar with, right? This is the spigot. The spigots on our vendor provided barrels, they also have an on-off switch. So you can connect your garden hose or drip tubing, leave that open and allow that to drain to your garden bed or anywhere else on your property that you're interested in using your stored water to benefit. This fitting, like the bottom linking fitting, we also recommend keeping that open during the winter months so that you can allow the water to freely exit the barrel and prevent any freeze damage to the barrel. Now with these barrels, most barrels do not come with a pump. Most rain barrels are purely gravity fed. So elevating them will always help improve the function. So for every foot that you will elevate your barrel, you're going to gain 0.43 psi of additional head pressure. So the higher that you can store your barrel, the more function you're going to get out of it, possibly to use drip irrigation, but you just make sure you need to do it very safely. Why? So if a 55-gallon barrel is full, it could potentially weigh around 460 pounds. So we definitely don't want that falling on you, your pup, your kids, your grandkids. So in addition to having a really stable base, whether that's a wooden pedestal or stacked pavers, if you go on Google and search for options, you'll find a wide variety, some very sophisticated. Um, they look more like construction platforms, but there's a lot of variety out there, and you just find something that works for your budget and your property. So that is the different features that you'll find with most rain barrels. Now we're going to move into talking about what are the components of a typical rainwater harvesting system. So these are the 5 basic components, but we're going to just mainly talk about catchment, conveyance, and overflow. So catchment, that's where you start with your planning process. How are you going to catch the rainwater? Where on your property are you going to place your rain barrel? How much water are you anticipating catching in that location? And then conveyance, that's just moving that rainwater from point A to point B. How are you going to get the rainwater from your gutter, your roof and your gutter system to the barrel itself? And then with overflow, we've talked a little bit about that with the overflow fitting. How are you going to manage the excess water if your rain barrel becomes full? Okay, so starting with catchment. Now, if you'll look at the image there on the right, so that's actually my house. That's my roof. And what I did is I decided that I wanted to put my rain barrel in to benefit my front gardens, my just landscaping gardens. So there at the front corner, I have a downspout, and using GIS, I was able to get the square footage of that triangular shaped face of my roof line, and it's about 580 square feet. So using a really simple equation to estimate the number of gallons that would be generated during a 1-inch storm, I could potentially collect up to 348 gallons in just that single storm. So my house is about 2,000 square feet, so my roof line's about that as well. Here in Oklahoma, in the central part, we generally average about 36 inches of rainfall a year. So my roof in general, if I was able to collect every bit of rainfall that fell on my roof during the year, I could potentially be collecting about 45,000 gallons of rainwater every year. So that's a lot of gallons of water. And I just said, just in 1-inch storm, a single storm, I could collect up to 348 gallons. And the rain barrels we've been talking about are only 55. So you can see in just one, storm, and a 1-inch storm here in Oklahoma is pretty consistent, if not more so, and they're just becoming more and more extreme. So the chance for you to collect a great deal of a large amount of gallons of rainwater is almost guaranteed during the rainy season. So when we're talking about the ability to expand and increase your storage capacity, you can see how quickly just your small 55-gallon barrel is going to fill up and how much potential you have to store more. So moving on to conveyance. So how are you going to get that rainwater from your roof line down to your barrel? So there's a couple of options. The first one I want to talk about are transition elbows. So this option is going to require you to actually cut your downspout. You'll just, obviously, you want to set the cut line above your barrel, but depending on if you want to use a rigid transition elbow, which is shown in the center photo, or if you want to use a flexible elbow, which is on the right photo, it just depends where your barrel is going to be situated. If you can sit it exactly the way it's shown in that center photo, the rigid elbow would be a great option. But if you can't set your rain barrel directly in front of, if your land starts to slope away from your foundation there and you need to place the barrel around the corner, that flexible elbow is going to be the better option. Now, a second option for getting the rainwater from your gutter to the barrel might make people more comfortable because it doesn't require you to cut your downspout. You still have to cut into it, but it's your gutter is going to stay just the way it is. So this is a diverter kit. Like I mentioned, you still have to drill a hole in your downspout, but the diverter has a flexible tray, and so that will just flex and you'll be able to fold it, slide it into your downspout. It will expand on the inside. The outside tray will collect the rainwater, where other water will be able to discharge through the open center hole. The water that's collected in the tray is going to be directed through a hose and is going to be connected to that overflow feature that we talked about earlier. Some barrels might have a second option that will be purely for the diverter kit, but if you only have one upper fixture, it will connect to that one. And then once the rain barrel fills up, that pressure is going to reverse, and then the rainwater will just pass through your gutter and discharge like normal. If you have pop-up drains in your yard, I have pop-up drains connected to all of my downspouts. So I didn't necessarily want to lose that benefit because pop-up drains are fantastic for directing water away from your home and your foundation. So the diverter kit was my favorite option, and that worked best for my property. But either the flexible elbows or the diverter kit are great options. Now, with overflow management, right, the goal of managing the overflow is you just want to control the flow of water when your barrel is full. So you can see on the left image, we have a rigid elbow that's in use, but with this particular storm, the rain barrel is unable to manage through the overflow fixture to discharge all that rainwater. So it's overflowing from the top of the barrel, and you can see it starting to accumulate right along the base of the house near the foundation. So this is definitely something that we don't want as homeowners to see. So if this goes back into the planning phase, right? If you're, walking around your home deciding where you want to place your rain barrel, do you want to pick a smaller section of your roof line if that's possible, depending on your home's design? So that way you know that this particular barrel can manage that much runoff. Um, if you can find and kind of work it out, the picture on the right, this homeowner has created a larger diameter flexible hose to help in situations like this, and they have it directed away from their home's foundation. So that's definitely kind of a better setup if you can manage it. But again, it's purely based on your home design and where you're going to be placing your barrel. I wanted to cover a few questions that, some frequently asked questions that we receive from residents. The first common question that we usually receive is, we have a lot of different types of, homes here, ages and time periods, and a lot of homes, may not have been installed with or built with a gutter system. So, a lot of folks are initially disappointed because they're like, well, actually, I don't have a gutter system. I don't think I can have a barrel. And it always makes my day when I can tell them, oh, no, you absolutely can have enjoy the benefits of a rain barrel. One way that you can do that is with a rain chain. Rain chains serve like a downspout, and they just help guide rainwater down from your roof line into a rain barrel just with surface adhesion. Now, if you're not familiar with rain chains can be really beautiful features. What they are is they're a series of connected cups or rings, and they're just hung from a decorative chain. And they come in so many different types of designs and materials. I've seen fish, I've seen flowers, and they'll come in copper, they'll come in, other types of metals. So it just kind of, the sky's the limit with these. You'll see a ton of different designs. Um, the only thing to consider when you're considering a rain chain is you'll see on the left image, this is just, a very typical kind of ranch style home, and they don't have a lot of eaves where, everything's coming to where they can channel the water off the roof line. It usually just kind of sheets off. When you're looking to put in a rain chain, just walk around your home, and if you happen to have a location where the water is channelizing naturally just due to the design of the roof line, would be a fantastic place to put your rain chain. It's already channelized, and instead of it just coming off the roof line in a torrent, it'll guide it. The rain chain will perfectly guide it down into the top of your barrel. Another common question that we receive is, well, how do I maintain my barrel? And a part of that is winterizing. You'll remember, I'm sure, back in October of 2020 and February of 2021, we had a couple of pretty intense freeze events. And this picture was taken by a resident, and she's let me use this for presentations to talk about rainwater harvesting for many years, and I'm really indebted to her because it's a fantastic photo. Rain barrels, just like your irrigation system and our outdoor spigots, they all need to be winterized, but most people aren't really thinking about their rain barrel when it comes to intense events like this. It's the last thing people are going to think about. But it's a really simple process to winterize your rain barrel. Step one, just drain all the water out of your barrel. And you should start considering doing this, as we approach fall. Sometimes we have those surprise freeze events like we did in October of 2020. But just to be prepared, go ahead and, start to think about winterizing. It's an easy thing to reverse, if you know you're going to be having some rain and there's no freeze in the forecast. But after you've drained all the water out of the barrel, the next step is just to remove any attached hoses. So this could be your linking hose, this could be your diverter kit. This could be your garden hoses that you have attached to this spigot or the overflow fixture. Just remove anything that's attached to the barrel. And then you'll remove that linking fitting cap, which is one of the two fixtures at the bottom of the barrel, and then open your ball valve. Another step a lot of people will take is after this has been done, they just flip the barrel over entirely just to avoid any chance. One thing to consider as well, rain barrels are very light when they're empty, especially here with Oklahoma and our winds. So they'll either secure the barrel to the ground or to their home. I mentioned a lot of people build, pretty complex structures to elevate their barrel. So sometimes the barrel can be just encased in a frame, which is perfect for this purpose. But if not, just try to secure it somehow. You can leave your barrel outside over the winter, but a lot of people, do decide to just bring it in also. If the rain barrel happens to be filled with water and we do have a freeze event and it does freeze like a massive popsicle, the barrel's going to crack. We had sales that surged the following year because this happened unfortunately to a lot of people. If this happens, it usually will void the manufacturer's warranty. So just be careful with that and consider that when you're, trying to winterize your home for the winter. Try to remember to include your rain barrel. I know with our vendor, they do offer a warranty with their rain barrel, but if it's not properly winterized or maintained, that will be voided. Now, at the beginning, I did mention that OKC is currently promoting our annual rain barrel sale. So OKC, we've offered this program since 2014, and oops, went one too far. We've offered it since 2014, and so far we've distributed over 4,000 rain barrels. And this isn't just in Oklahoma City. This is we have had some purchasers from elsewhere in the metro as well. But you'll see from that 2020 to 2021 and 2022, the surge. It went, during COVID pandemic, it was a little low. And then in 2022, it blew up to numbers that we hadn't seen since we first offered the program. And it's because of that failure to winterize barrels. So people found a lot of damage. So we had a lot of repeat buyers that year. Now, if you're interested in adding a rain barrel to your landscape this year, our order deadline is going to be April 28th, and you can order online at okc.gov rain barrel. So these barrels are highly discounted because our vendor will ship all of the barrels that are ordered by our residents during the promotional period, and they ship it all at once. So all the savings from the combined shipping is then transferred to our residents. And then our residents will come to one of our pickup events. We offer 2 different weekends, and they'll just come to collect their rain barrel and the pedestals, just the large items, and composters. But if you happen to order any of the smaller accessories, those are just going to be shipped directly to your home, which is really convenient. Now, an interesting fact about the barrels that we offer is that they are upcycled. So if you're not familiar with this term, it just means that these barrels have been repurposed from their previous life. These barrels were actually previously used to ship foodstuffs to the United States. So this means that they are food safe, which is not common with other rain barrel manufacturers. It will also mean that these barrels may have minor dents and scratches on their surface just due to the shipping process. So although the barrels themselves are not new, all of the fixtures on the barrels are brand new materials. Because these were used to ship foodstuffs, one of my favorite things is when we receive our orders and we open up the truck. It very often smells like pizza because these are olives, pickles, peppers. So we typically get a little hungry when we're unloading these barrels after delivery, which is kind of a neat characteristic. These are also clean, so I do want to preface, say that, although the odor does linger just a little bit, eventually, goes 100% away. But the vendor does clean all these barrels beforehand with an environmentally friendly soap, so they come ready to go. I do want to show in the photo, you'll see all the different colors that are available. So you can pick between 4 different colors. We have the blue, we have the terracotta, which is my personal favorite, and the black and the gray. The terracotta has another unique feature among all the colors. These are usually contain the olives. And they come from, these barrels are stamped with Greek symbols and other identification type marks. So it's a really unique barrel of the 4. The other accessories that you can get through the sale, we also offer pedestals. You can order the flex elbows, diverter kits, the linking hoses, as well as plant netting and hangers. So if you happen to have, an HOA that might limit, rainwater harvesting containers, you can hide them with the plant netting. There's a lot of different types of ivy that grow really well here in Oklahoma that you can plant and grow into the plant netting. Ends up being a really beautiful feature in your garden. And the hangers, you can hang little terracotta pots from your rain barrel as well, just to add another feature. I do have a video I want to share with you. If you've never ordered from us, I just wanted to give you an idea of what one of our order pickup events is going to look like. So this is at our Household Hazardous Waste Center down at 15th and Portland. So we break it up where you don't even have to get out of your car. We will check you in, just have you sign for your order, and then you'll move to station number 2, where we'll have our staff actually load your order for you. We get all types of vehicles. These will fit in the back of a sedan as well. So don't feel like you have to have a truck or a Jeep or anything. So just a little bit about our order deadlines and some more information about the sale. I mentioned our online deadline, which was April 28th, but our vendor also has a mail-in option. So we're happy to mail an order form to your home with some instructions, and then you'll just mail a check with that order form to our vendor. And that deadline is April 24th. So we just need to make sure the vendor has your mail-in order form by then. I mentioned that we have 2 different dates for you to pick up your order. So that's going to be Saturday, May 3rd and Saturday, May 10th. You can come either day. Both days are going to be from 8:30 to 11:30 though. And that is at our Household Hazardous Waste Collection Center at 15th Street and Portland. And then this is our order page. So this is going to take you to our vendor's order page specifically for the Oklahoma City event. But with this partnership that we do with the Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance, we have cities all over the metro that are participating, even as far as Stillwater and Muskogee. They're also participating. But this covers Midwest City. This covers Norman. And everybody else is completely famous. But there's like 12 different communities that are participating in this. But if you go to the order page, you can go up to the top of that page and go back to the state programs, and then you'll see order pages listed for every single community that is participating. So if our event is not convenient for you, or you would like to pick up your rain barrel maybe earlier in the season, I believe Edmond's event will be the first event to get their orders, but you can order from them as well. You don't have to be a resident. No matter where you live or work, you can place an order with any of these different communities. Okay, well, thanks everybody. That's all I have for you today, but I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Jordan. That was a great presentation. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to put those in chat. We do have a few that are in there right now. Sarah Terry Cabo asked, I would love to learn more about the IBC totes. How do you find one that hasn't been used for chemicals?
That's a good question. So our vendor actually does provide those. This is a new, very new. I think we've only had those available for the last couple of years. Now, OKC is not offering those as part of our sale. We just found that those were a little difficult, just to lift. It's definitely a more than one person job to lift those. But although OKC is not offering them through our sale, there are other cities that are. Norman is one, so that's not too far away if you're interested in picking one up. Norman is offering those. And our vendor does, like the rain barrels, that they're cleaned out. But that's he makes sure, when he's sourcing these materials, they contained a syrup, like a food syrup. So it was not a chemical. So I can definitely set your mind at ease on that point. If you order through this program, our vendor is very transparent about how he's sourcing those particular containers.
Great, thank you. Rebecca Dellen asked, are there any restrictions on the number of rain barrels you can have?
Ooh, that's a great question, Rebecca. So it's going to vary depending on your community and your HOA. Here in Oklahoma City, you are limited to only two 85-gallon barrels in the front yard, but you can have them elsewhere on your property. But if you're planning to put them in the front, just know that you are limited to two. We have had certain situations where we've had some residents come back and mention, well, actually, I can't use my barrel. I forgot to check with my HOA. And my HOA does not allow, rainwater harvesting containers at all. You are allowed to, collect rainwater here in Oklahoma, but it's going to vary depending on your HOA. Some HOAs don't allow it. Some communities might have other restrictions, like Oklahoma City, as far as how many you're allowed and where you can place them. So before you order, just look into your HOA bylaws and covenants and just make sure you double check with your community on any public ordinances.
And then Riza asked, can we get a copy of the slides? And yes, we can supply the slides if Jordan's okay with sharing those.
Oh, 100% happy to provide.
Perfect. Kaylin wanted everyone to know if you use Temu, you can get a rain chain for under $15, which is great. I love a good deal. And then Rebecca Dallin added on to that, the city of Norman occasionally hosts rain chain making events.
Yes, they do.
But other than that, that is all the questions we have, unless anyone else has some last minute questions to add. Perfect. Remember, if anyone would like to receive a certificate of attendance for today's presentation, feel free to send us an email to request it. I'm placing my email again into chat. Please don't request certificates in the chat because we may not have your email address linked to your username on Teams. I will send out those certificates this week. As we've mentioned, a recording of today's presentation should be available online in the next week or so, and I will put the website link into that chat for you now. This has been the first webinar of our 2025 webinar series. If you are registered for any of our 2024 webinars, your registration has continued into 2025, so you will not need to register again. However, if you'd like to unsubscribe from our webinar series, please reach out to us. And you can do that via that email that's in the chat. We hope everyone enjoyed today's presentation. We would love to receive your feedback, so please complete our brief survey by scanning the QR code now shown on your screen. While you are doing that, I'd like to invite everyone back to our next webinar On April 15th, we will be hearing from Chris Patton and Matt Cronin with Sustainable Gardening Solutions, and they will guide us through creating sustainable landscapes here in Oklahoma. And we'll address some common misconceptions about using native plants. Until then, thank you all again for attending today's session and have a great afternoon.